This is the exact system I used to generate $6 million in high ticket sales by the time I turned 21. This is a full breakdown completely for free. Picture this, October 2023, I'm sat in my bedroom in the south of England working 12 hours a day, no office, no team around me, just me, a phone, and an offer I believed in. That month, I made $7,700 US. The month after that, I made $19,000. And 6 months later, I was gifted a Rolex because I made someone $1 million in under 6 months. By the time I turned 21, I'd personally bought in over $300,000 in commissions with high ticket sales. Now, I'm telling you that because 2 years before that moment, I was 18 years old working 11-hour shifts, sometimes 12, from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. in Nando's, completely lost, no idea what I wanted to do with my life, no connections, just completely lost. Now, I'm not telling you this to show off. I want to show you what's actually possible. With no network, no head start, I was doing all of this from the UK, which if you spent any time in the space, everyone will tell you makes it harder due to the negativity that breeds in that place. It doesn't make it harder. It just means you have to be better. Now, everything I'm about to share with you in this video is the exact system that I used to get there. The mindset, the framework, how I vet offers in high ticket sales before I ever say yes to one, how to approach applications, and what to do in the actually look like when you're doing this properly. Now, all of this is completely free. There's no buy this to get the real stuff, which is actually going to move the needle at the end. This is the real stuff. This is the same stuff that I teach inside of my program now. And I'm giving it to you right now for nothing. If you're serious about getting into high ticket sales, you're doing it the right way, not the watered down version that the gurus will peddle to you where you take 2 calls a day and close 50% of them from minute 1. This is going to be the most valuable free resource you will ever see in this space. So let's dive in. Section 1, why most people will fail before they even start. Now, I want to start here before we get into any of the actual frameworks, because if I just threw the 5-step discovery system at you without this context, you go try it, hit a wall, and think you're doing something wrong. You're not doing something wrong. You just don't understand what the game actually looks like, and that's what kills most people. I sit in a position now where I'm not just coaching sales. I'm actively managing multiple sales teams. I'm reviewing calls every single week. I'm seeing applications come in. I'm making hiring decisions. I'm watching reps fail consistently and also succeed in real time. So when I tell you why most people don't make it, it's not coming from theory. I'm telling you exactly what I'm seeing on the floor every single day. There are 3 main patterns I see consistently that kill people before they ever get started. Number 1, they're chasing money instead of chasing the skill. Now you may hear that and think, Frankie, what are you talking about? I'm here to make money, right? I want to get to 10K a month in 90 days. And that's amazing. Every single beginner comes to me with the same thing. They say, how much can I make? And I understand it, right? I asked the same thing when I first started, but the question is wrong and it will get you the wrong results. The real question you need to ask is, how can I get as good as I possibly can? The money follows the skill set. It doesn't show up before that. You have to get good before you make money. The thing is, what happens when you chase money is that you set yourself a deadline to hit 10K a month. I'm going to hit 10K a month in 90 days, and if I don't, I'm a complete failure. That's not how it works. And also, you're not a failure. You've just set yourself unrealistic expectations. The first 6 months of this journey are pure skill acquisition. You're not supposed to be getting rich yet. I didn't hit my first 10K month until month 8. People who understand this are the ones who last the long term. They don't quit after 2-3 months. They're in the game for 1, 2, 3 years, like I've been in the game for over 3 years now. Point 2, where I see most people fail, is they take any role that gets offered to them. A lot of people get so desperate to land their first role that they take anything and everything. The wrong offer, wrong niche, wrong commission structure, wrong volume. They end up in the wrong seat entirely, and that just pushes your time to success way back. And you'll end up underperforming, not because you're necessarily bad at sales, but because the offer was never going to put you in a position to get good at sales in the first place. This is something I see from a manager's perspective all the time. I've had to personally let people go who had real potential, but they were just in the wrong environment. It wasn't necessarily their fault, they just didn't know how to vet an opportunity before saying yes to it. This is exactly what the elite framework solves. We'll get into that later in the video. Number 3 is no staying power. Cycle I see on repeat. Someone buys a course, they don't close anything in the first 3 weeks, decide sales isn't for them, and they jump into something else. They jump into SMMA or whatever the next thing is, starting their own AI business. And they end up in this loop, this cycle, where every 3 months they're starting a new business model and they see success in none of them. And the truth is, you're not failing because the business model is broken. You're failing because you aren't putting the work in that it takes to become someone who is worthy of making 10K a month. You're not actually staying in the pocket long enough to develop a skill set. Consistency in this space compounds, just like anything. You understand compounding with money, but the same thing happens with your skill set. Like two of our students, Adam and Daniel, they came in as complete beginners. Adam was earning 280 euros a week as an apprentice in Ireland, and then both Adam and Daniel made 9 and 10K in their first month closing, respectively. The reason this happened is because they committed to the process fully. They didn't flinch when things got uncomfortable. They didn't give up. They stayed strong. They kept going. They were only able to hit these commission numbers because they actually stayed consistent. They committed to the process fully. And that is not the exception. It doesn't have to be the exception. It can be the rule. I'm telling you this now so when we get into the frameworks and the systems, you understand the context that you're operating in. This isn't a make money in 30 days video. If you're expecting that, click off. This isn't for you. Go do something else. Go work a 9 to 5 because that is the way you're going to make money in 30 days. Guarantee you'll get a salary. This is how you actually build a legitimate high-ticket sales career. So let's dive in. Okay, section 2, the mindset. Sales is a game of mindset. 95% of it is what's going on up here. Because I've seen closers who are elite. They have a great skill set, but they're weak mentally and they don't believe they can actually see success, and their results show that within the commission checks that they bring in every single month. Every other coach will put the mindset section at the end or treat it like a bonus section, or they'll skip it entirely because it's not tactical stuff, but it is incredibly, incredibly important. And the reason is very simple. Who you are inside of sales is who you are outside of sales. If you have unaddressed limiting beliefs, fear of failure, fear of rejection, imposter syndrome, whatever they are, they don't disappear when you get on calls. That's where they come out. The prospect will feel those limiting beliefs before you've even finished your sentence. If you come in unconfident, scared of getting a no, that's exactly what you'll get. So before we talk the frameworks, the applications, we need to talk about the version of you that is going to show up and actually do this work. Because if that isn't the 2.0 version of you, the tactics are useless because you won't use them. Probably the biggest thing that I see separates the 10K a month, 20K a month, 30K a month closers compared to the 3 to 5K a month closers or setters is radical responsibility. This is the foundation that I teach everything based off of. Bad leads, low volume, an offer's dying, an objection you didn't handle well. All of it is your fault. Every single thing. Every single thing that happens in your life is completely your fault. Is that literally true? Maybe not. There may be highly believable reasons as to why you are the way you are, and if you stick to those and continue believing in them, you will stay in the same place. So you can decide whether or not something is true. If you take radical responsibility for every single thing happening in your life, you have the power to change it. The kind of person who operates from this mindset that everything is their fault finds solutions. The person who externalizes and finds excuses will stay in the same spot. And in sales, unfortunately, excuses don't close deals. The difference between a 15K a month closer and a 4K a month closer on the same offer is never the leads, because the leads are the same. It comes down to who's taking responsibility. What are you going to do about it? If you can take radical responsibility as a sales rep, you will change your life. Another ability that is imperative if you want to make money in high ticket sales is navigating the highs and the lows. There are going to be lows. You could go a week without closing deals, and then you could close 5 deals in a row. Now the key is, and the trick is, don't get too high on the highs and don't get too lows on the lows. If you go in thinking that your progress is going to be like this, the first dip, the first loss is going to shake you and potentially break you. I've had weeks in the sales space where I was making 20K a month, 25K a month, where I didn't close anything for 7 to 10 days. And then all of a sudden, I'll make 15 grand in a single week. And if you average it out, it sounds great. Oh, I made 15 grand in the past 3 weeks. But I went 2 weeks without closing a single deal. I've had days where I've questioned, should I just quit? Is this not for me? That is the game. That's part of it. If you can take that and internalize it and sit in that uncomfortable feeling, you are going to win. The thing that separates the best reps and the worst reps isn't skill set a lot of the time. It's how they show up after a bad week. Do they analyze what went wrong, get back in and fix it, or do they spiral, avoid the work, and look for a way out? Your ability to stay consistent through the lows is more valuable than any closing technique I could ever teach you. Moving on, the emotional state before a call. This is something that most sales coaches won't tell you, and it's genuinely one of the highest leverage things that I changed about the way I sell. The emotional state you're in before you pick up the phone or before you jump on a Zoom call will determine how that call goes more than anything else. You need to give your full intention on every single call to help the person on the other end of the phone. It could be your 8th call of the day. It's there first. If you can remember that every single call going in and truly believe and think, how can I serve this person? You will close more deals and help more people than you could ever imagine. You're not getting on a call to close a deal. You're not getting on a call to make money. If you go with that energy, a prospect will feel it and they will feel your commission breath, and then they will jump off the call and feel like they've had a bad experience. And you have caused that. Again, radical responsibility. That is your responsibility. You want to genuinely understand, can you help? And 2 things will happen when you go with this mindset. The prospect will actually feel this energy and trust you, and then the close becomes a byproduct of having a good conversation that can genuinely help this person change their life. Before every single call, I get myself in the right headspace. Literally repeat to myself, I'm here to serve this person. It's just a person. How can I help them? Those type of things. Sit in silence, breathe for 5 minutes, go in with the right mentality. No matter what happened on the call before, it's done. You've got a new person you need to help. Now the identity shift. You may have heard identity shifting used in closing before. Maybe you haven't. It's probably the most important part of this whole section. The version of you that closes, makes 10K a month, doesn't have better tactics than you do right now. Maybe they've developed the skill set a little bit more. I'm not saying skill set isn't relevant at all, but the person who makes 10K a month and the version that you are now thinks differently. They make better decisions. They show up to calls, to coaching, the boring daily work in a completely different way. Now, the key is with the identity shift is you have to start taking the actions of the version of yourself you want to become before you're actually there. That's how you get there. Think, what would a healthy person do? Oh, a healthy person would eat clean. They would go to the gym and exercise. If you do that long enough as a fat person, and I was once a fat person, you will eventually become healthy. Just think, what would a healthy person do in this situation? The same goes with sales. I was 6 months into this, broke and frustrated. I just spent all my money traveling to the US to go and meet up with the team. I was seeing other people who joined after me, seeing success, making more money than me, when I was grinding an offer that I was calling 2, 3, 4-month-old leads on. In those moments is where you need to decide who you're going to be. I made the decision of who I was going to become and what that was going to look like on a day-to-day basis, and that decision kept me in the game long enough to land on an offer that completely changed everything. One of my first mentors said to me, if you stay around the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a cut. Now that basically means if you stay in the game long enough, it will happen for you. You just got to keep showing up. The issue most closers and most people in day-to-day life will find is that in those moments where there's uncertainty and they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, that's when they give up. The harder it gets, the closer you're getting to the breakthrough. Just remember that. And the last thing before we move into the framework is first impressions and what people are actually buying. People are not buying a product on a sales call. They are buying into you as the closer. Your energy, your confidence, your conviction, your belief in what you're selling, and how they feel before making any logical decision about the investment. You may have heard the phrase, people buy with emotion and then justify with logic. It is your ability and your job to create that emotion within someone so then they can justify and purchase. It's one of the most tactical things you possibly can do. When you show up to a call as the most grounded, most certain, and most helpful person in the room, you win every single call. Your sole objective is to help the person on the other end of the phone make a decision. Whether that decision is buying with you or not, you're okay with it. That's what true sales and true leadership actually is. Okay, section 3, the 5-step discovery framework. This is the core of everything. This is what I use on every single call and what I teach every single one of my students and guys that work on my offers before they jump onto a sales call. I want to be very, very clear on one thing. This is not a fucking script. This is a framework. Scripts give you words. A framework gives you a way of thinking. The best closers don't have set things that they're going to say. They have a way of thinking that enables them to find the words that will come out and help that person. The difference between a script and a framework is the difference between a 5K a month closer and a closer who consistently hits 15, 20, 25K a month, because they can actually navigate conversations no matter what direction it goes in. Sales is extremely fucking simple. A discovery is extremely simple. It's 5 steps. They flow in order. Every single step has a purpose, and I'll break them all down for you. First of all, where are they now? The first thing I want to do on every single call is get a clear picture of where they're at, their complete current position. How long have they been in their current role? What are they making right now? What is that not allowing them to do? What does their day-to-day look like? How much time do they get to spend with their family? I want to build a complete crystal image so I have complete clarity on their entire life. And here is where I want to get deep understanding. I don't want to accept surface level answers. If someone says, I'm working a 9 to 5, I want to make more money, that's not enough, right? I want to know what the 9 to 5 actually looks like. What about it is draining them? Are they able to spend the time they want with their family? Is it draining them? Do they feel like they're wasting their current potential? What about their current situation is genuinely not serving them in a way that they're not willing to settle for any longer? The reason this matters is because you're building the gap, which is step 2 of where they actually want to be. You're building that gap. You've probably heard that before. It's pretty common in sales, but it's extremely important because that gap is what creates the urgency to actually change. The wider the gap feels and the more real it feels, by the time you get to the close, the decision's already made. So do not rush step 1. You had to gather data around their current situation so you can compare it to where they want to go. Slow down and get the full picture. This is data gathering mode, which follows into step 2. Where do you actually want to go? Now you flip it. What is the outcome they're chasing? But again, we're not accepting surface level answers. I want more freedom. Freedom is a total buzzword. What does freedom actually look like for you specifically? What would change with that level of freedom? How much would you need to be making to truly achieve the level of freedom that you want to, where you can travel and give back to your family in the way you want to? Oh, that would be 15K a month. Okay, cool. You're at 5K a month now. We've got a 3x gap, which is a big gap from where they are to where they want to be. I want to understand the vision that they actually have for themselves when the goal is achieved. Because the thing that we're selling isn't the program. We're selling them on the version of themselves who already has what they want. And to do that effectively, we need to know exactly what that life truly looks like for them and their family and whoever would actually be impacted by them. And the key is, in their words, not mine. I am not putting words into a prospect's mouth. Okay, so you want to be making 15K a month so you can travel the world. And the prospect will agree. Sure, yeah, that sounds great. But I want them to say it. And then I can repeat it back to them and get clarity. Someone who says they want to make 10K a month just because they want to make more money could actually want to retire their mum, pay for their mum's surgery, or whatever that may be. And that is a completely different conversation from just, yeah, I want to make money, right? The number remains the same, but the emotional driver is completely different. So here we're finding that emotional driver in step 2. Step 3, how long have they actually wanted this? Truly, not the bullshit answer that a lot of closers get. A lot of closers will ask a stupid question, which is how long have you wanted to get into trading or whatever biz op you're selling? Now, how long do you think that will be? Oh, I saw an ad last week, so I've only really wanted this for a week. How big is your time gap? Very, very short, which means there's no urgency to change. Whereas I want to understand, how long have they actually wanted to get out of the 9 to 5 so they can support their family, pay for their mum's surgery, travel the world, achieve XYZ goal? Oh shit, that's been for as long as I can remember. How long is that specifically? Again, we want to build a specific time gap here. That number is almost always bigger than the person first admits. The first surface level answer is usually not the answer that is actually true. The true answer, a lot of the time, is years, because people don't just come to the call wanting to make a change. They've been ruminating and thinking of this to get to where they want to be for an extended period of time. Now, why does this actually matter? Because when someone realizes that they've actually been wanting this life for years and they haven't achieved it, that immediately builds in urgency. What you have to remember as a closer is you're asking questions and having a conversation that these prospects will never have had before. This is where you'll get prospects saying to you, shit, this feels like a therapy session. This feels like I've never told anyone this before. The average person doesn't go and talk about their goals all the time. They keep it hidden because they're scared. They don't want to be judged. This is where you get the most powerful moments on a call where they sit there and realize, holy shit, I've been wanting this for so long and I'm not there. Which leads into step 4. What's actually been in the way? Why haven't they achieved it? Now, this is where you find the real objection. If you listen carefully, this is where you get the objection that will come up at the end. Not the one they're going to give you at the end of the call. So, John, you've been wanting to live a life of freedom, make 10K a month for the last 3 years. What have you actually tried? Oh, I haven't tried anything. How come? I want to understand, why are they not there? Because it's a decision they've been delaying or putting off for an extended period of time. What's actually held them back? If they've tried something, why weren't they able to see success? Is it some external factor? This is where people externalize. Oh, I didn't have the time. I didn't have the resources. I didn't have the money. The best way I like handling that is very, very simple. So, John, do you believe there's someone who works a 9 to 5, has a family, has all these commitments, who was still able to make 10K a month as a trader? Do you believe someone has done it? Yes. Of course it is. Yes, someone has been there and done it. Someone has been in a worse position than you and achieved a better result than you have achieved. So what do you think the difference is between you and them? And again, this is where they will internalize and give you the real reason. I've been scared of failing. I've been scared of being rejected. Whatever that may be, that is their true objection. If you can overcome that, the close becomes effortless, the close becomes easy, because you're not fighting against anything. You're on the same side of the table with them, helping them overcome that fear. That fear, you make it the villain in the room. The most common objections or limitations that you will find in step 4 is fear of failure, fear of what people around them will think, fear of not believing that they're actually the type of person who can do this. Maybe they've been burned by something before. Maybe they've actually been scammed. A lot of the time when people say they've been scammed before, it's not the case. They just didn't put in the effort. but they externalized and said, oh, that program was shit. Maybe they went in with the wrong expectations. I want to find this in step 4 and address it. Not at the close, you want to get it here. Because if you wait until the close to find the real objection, a lot of the time it's too late. The prospect is going to be in fight or flight. They're going to be defending. They're going to be protecting their decision and justifying why they need to stay in the same place, why it's not the right time, why they need to think about it, why they need to delay. Find the wall, find the objection, find the limitation in step 4 and dismantle it before you ever get to the price. And then 5, why is now any different? The final step is getting them fully bought into why now is the right time to move. Not next month, not next week, not next year. Why now? Now, the way to approach this is not by telling them why now is the best time. You ask. Selling is not telling. What's actually changed? What shifted for you? What specific moment came up in the last XYZ amount of time which made you realize that if you continue staying the same, nothing's actually going to change? Cost of inaction. If we don't overcome this fear of failure, what are the next 6 months actually going to look like? How would it sit with you knowing that you've let fear control your decisions for the next 6 months? How much money would we be leaving on the table? If you've got 10K a month, you've already left 100 grand on the table over the past year by not making a change. How would it sit with you knowing you've left another 100 grand on the table next year if you're in the same place? Because we all know this, right? Nothing changes unless something changes, right? If nothing changes, nothing changes. You have to be the one to make the decision to change to actually see the results you want to see. The question I come back to again and again ties into their identity. We spoke about your identity in the mindset section. Now it's time to talk about their identity. The version of John 2.0, who already is at 10K a month and is traveling the world and is taking care of his family, what actions does he take? Does he let fear control his decision making? Or what does he do differently? No, he takes the action. Well, how would he show up? When would be the most intelligent time for you to step into that version of yourself? And after you ask that question, you sit in silence. Silence is extremely powerful on a sales call. Do not fluff up your questions and, oh, what I mean by that is why would you say this and da-da-da-da-da. No, shut the fuck up. Learn how to shut up, because the answer will always come out, that they have to do it now. And you haven't pushed them to say that. They felt that urgency from the conversation. If you can sit in that tension, the deal's closed. You've won the deal. There may be a bit of fear that comes up at the end, but you can revert back to what you said. Hey, look, man, like we said this was going to happen, right? You're going to feel the uncertainty. You're going to feel the doubt. What do we need to do? That's where that goes. So that is the 5-step discovery system. It's extremely simple. Where they are, where they want to go, how long have they wanted it, what's actually got in the way, and why is now any different. If you can master that, you will master closing. You will master the foundations, and you can build all the advanced stuff on top of it. Okay, section 4, elite offer vetting. This is the section that I'm most proud of because it comes directly from my experience as a sales manager, as a closer who's generated 6 million in the space, and no one talks about this shit because it's boring. It's not that fun to speak about. Everyone wants to talk about the reframe. You see the Instagram reel. Oh, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Shut up. Every coach will just tell you, just go find a good offer. But they don't actually tell you what a good offer actually looks like, okay? So, and the reason this matters so much is back to pattern 2 in the mindset section, and the reason why people fail at what I mentioned at the start, right? People get in the wrong role, they underperform through potentially no fault of their own. Again, we can take radical responsibility on that and convince themselves that they're bad at sales. So this is the system that I use to vet every and any opportunity before saying yes. Let me break it down. First of all, the numbers. Commission structure. Is this actually worth my time? If the ticket price of anything is between 5 to 25K and the commission structure is 10 to 15%, that's where I want it to be. 10% is industry standard for a closer. That's probably going to be just everything across the board. Shouldn't be any qualms or struggles with that. But it's really important to get clarity on that, right? If you come in thinking it's going to be 10% and they say it's 5, there's obviously misalignment there. I want to get into the numbers. What are the close rate? What are the current closers actually closing at? If they cannot give you, if you're speaking to an offer owner and they cannot give you the data, that is a red flag. You have to have the mindset, they need to close you on jumping on that offer. Now that doesn't mean be a dick, doesn't mean come in with an ego, especially if you've got no experience. Please do not go and say that, oh, Frankie told me to do. No, drop your ego, but understand that you need to ask these questions so you can get a clear understanding of what's expected. The call volume, there are actually enough calls hitting the calendar. If there's less than 20 calls a week, it means you're not going to actually build the momentum and the skill that compounds with reps. No reps equals no growth. Now that doesn't mean you sit on your hands and do fuck all, right? If you get onto an offer and there's low call volume, what are you going to do about it? Again, radical responsibility. Can you go and dial? Can you hit up old leads? Can you hit up no-shows? Can you hit up previous closers that have been on the calendar? Can you go through their pipelines? What are you going to do about it? And number 4, do the math. What a realistic actual month looks like. Not the best month, not the average month. If the numbers don't excite you on the average month, it's probably not the right offer. But again, you have to be wary of where you're at. When you're starting out, you're not going to you're not going to get on an offer that's going to give you to 10K a month or get you to 10K a month. It's not realistic. You don't have the skill set. That doesn't mean that you can't grow with the offer. And sometimes you have to take a mediocre offer because, it is the only one you can get. But as long as the volume's there, they have a structure, they have a training system, then you can get better. And that's, again, what you're focused on. And number 2, the offer itself. Does the offer actually work? Now, I don't know about you, but I cannot sell on an offer that I don't believe in because I have no conviction in what I'm selling. Someone throws a fear objection and the offer sucks and I know it sucks. I'm not going to be able to handle it because I don't truly believe that it's worth them overcoming the fear to step into the version of themselves because I don't believe the offer is actually going to help them. Does the offer have real client testimonials? Not just screenshots someone sent you. Do they have YouTube videos? Do they have a reputable brand in the space? Are there financing options? Affirm, Klarna, something that removes friction from the close. I think it's something like 70% of high ticket sales are now bought with financing options. It's 2026. Unfortunately, with the way the world is, the economy sucks in most places. The average person doesn't have that much money. Financing options are extremely important. And do you genuinely believe in what you're selling? If you don't believe in it, every single call you'll be fighting your own conscience. And you will feel shit at the end of the day, no matter how much money you're making. Number 3, the founder and the team. This is so fucking important. Is the founder actually reputable? Are they putting out genuine content or are they just flexing lifestyle bullshit with no substance? What is the type of demographic of buyer? Older, more established audiences typically means higher quality leads and sometimes easier closes, but they have more money. They're higher quality leads, right? Think about who is actually going to be on the other end of the phone. If you're selling for an offer that is targeting 16, 17-year-olds, how much money does the average 16, 17-year-old have? Not a lot. How do I know? Because I was 16, 17 and I had no money. So it's the same thing. Is there structured onboarding and sales management in place? Are you going to get hired and thrown in and just say, go close deals? Or are you going to have a structure, an onboarding, a vetting process, ramp up to KPIs? These are all really, really important. And when you're in the interview process, are they pitching you harder than you're pitching them? If they're pitching you and they really, really want you to join, especially if you're a beginner, that is a red flag. The best offers in the space have a plethora of closers to hire from. They'll be confident in what they're actually offering because the proof is there and there's potential for you to make a ton of money. So here's what to actually look for in the interview. The interview itself will tell you everything that you need to know about the culture on the sales floor. Are they organized? Do they have a clear process? Are they responsive? If you're speaking to someone, I get it, people are busy, but is the communication just average? Do they ask smart questions or are they just kind of going through the motions and everyone's there just to fill time? On an interview, there will typically be a role play. And if there is, treat it as your audition, but also treat it as an evaluation of them. How do they give you feedback? How do they communicate? Is this somewhere where you're actually going to grow? If you're a beginner on a role play and the sales manager has no feedback for you, that's a red flag. They probably don't know what good actually sounds like. And here are some red flags I've actually seen from a manager's seat. Offer owners who overpromise on volume and cannot back it up with data. Oh yeah, we're going to get so many calls in when these new ads land. Bullshit. Bullshit. It doesn't mean anything. I want to see clear value, clear data. Are there actual reps making the money you want to make? Are they making the 10, the 20K a month? If the top closers aren't hitting it, you won't hit it. If they're vague about answering questions around numbers, that is a red flag. And then high pressure recruiting. If they need you more than you need them, something is extremely wrong. Okay, section 5. This is one of the most important sections when you're trying to land a role as a beginner, the Loom application framework. Now, I want you to understand something before I get into this. I've sat on the other side of this. I have watched hundreds, if not thousands of Loom applications as a sales manager and hired people based off of their Looms. So I feel like I'm in a good position to know what a good Loom actually looks like. It's not just based off of guessing. The average Loom application in this space is fucking terrible. It's so bad. It's god awful. The reason it's terrible isn't because the people don't know sales. Probably that is a factor as well, but it's because they show up in a completely incongruent way with someone who should be trusted to represent a business with money, right? Especially if you're on an offer that is running paid ads. They're paying a couple $100s for every single call that gets booked. They're thinking, can I trust this person to protect my revenue? Can I trust this person to actually protect my brand, my reputation? So here's what a bad loom actually looks like. These are very, very simple shit. Very, very simple stuff. Poor lighting, bad camera quality, messy background. You can't take care of the basics on a 60-second loom video. Why would I trust you on a call with my leads? If you show up and your camera and you're sat like this, right? And I can see just way too much of your body, or even worse, you're slouched over and you're like this doing a loom application. Looks awful. Have a clean background. Now, you may not be out in Marbella with a cool background, but just get something that looks presentable. Try not to have a completely white plain background that makes you look like a psycho. Please do not blur your background, because I'm thinking, what are you hiding back there? You got some dead bodies that I can't see. What's going on? The setup is the first impression of what people see when they click on the loom. Number 2, rambling. No one gives a shit about your CV. If you cannot be concise in a 60 to 90 second loom application, you cannot be concise on a call. That is the exact skill set that a sales manager is looking for. Why are you sending a 5-minute loom application? No one's reading, no one's watching that. It's too long, right? No one cares. Focus on what you can do for the business, what you have done, how much have you invested into yourself, all that good stuff. Number 3, copy and paste looms. If your loom is 3 months old and has 130 views or 30 views, 20 views, or any more than 2 fucking views, I know you're sending it to everyone, which means one thing: you put in low effort. I want someone on my team, and any sales manager worth their salt wants someone in their team who puts in a ton of effort. Effort is extremely fucking important. You cannot put in the effort to send individual looms. You cannot put in the effort to follow up with leads. You cannot put in the effort to show up in the best way possible. You are not a good fit. Do not send looms who have been sent just to everyone. Number 4, no personalization. Again, if you haven't referenced anything about the offer, the founder, why you're interested in this specific opportunity, just shows you don't pay attention. Again, in the first 5 seconds of the loom, mention, hey, my name's Frankie Isaac and I'm applying for XYZ business model to join the team as a closer. It's easy, simple. It shows, and in the loom title as well, name it. XYZ business name, closer application. It's just the simple shit. Number 5, if you have this energy of like, yo, you hiring? Just unserious, right? Unprofessional. Whether it's the first line of a DM or the first line of a loom, unprofessional openers tell me everything that I need to know about you as a person. You are unprofessional, you're not serious. Gone in 2 seconds. So here's what you actually need to do. The 4-part loom framework that actually gets you interviewed. The whole point of the loom is to sell the person watching it on giving you the time of day for an interview. You're not trying to close them on hiring you in that 60 seconds. You're just closing them on the next step. You want to get them curious enough to get you on a call. Keep that as your North Star throughout. So in the first 7 seconds, you want a pattern, interrupt, or proof. In the first 0 to 7 seconds, you want to introduce yourself with a pattern interrupt. Something that's going to grab the viewer's attention. Think of it like a dating app or content creation. People are looking for reasons to say no. They're looking for immediate red flags that they can swipe on, right? You got to hook them in. One way you can do that is by showing proof of your closing statistics, right? If you can get that up on a loom call, or mentioning the offer owner's name in the first 5 seconds shows that you're actually interrupted their time of day. They're calling them out. Hey, John, I know you're watching this from XYZ's team. This is Frankie. Get into it. And then from there, you want to go into your track record. Real proof, commission screenshots, close rate data, leaderboard position. If you're brand new, use results from other industries. If you've sold door-to-door, B2B, insurance, anything, use that. How much have you personally invested into your skill set? The fact that you've put your money where your mouth is and invested it into yourself, you are way more likely to land that role. If you're not willing to invest into yourself and you want a closing position, how are you going to convince someone to invest into themselves when you're taking those calls? Why would I invest my time, leads, effort, energy into you? You don't even back yourself. Why would I back you? Also, one thing that is extremely important is to invest in the right coach. There are certain high-ticket sales coaches in here. If you say their name in the loom, I will immediately click off, because you are buying the reputation from someone that you've bought from. And this isn't my words. This is words from a friend of mine who manages 8 sales teams that do multiple 7 and sometimes even 8 figures a year. He said this: if you say, I invested with Kurt Udale and Frankie in STS, he immediately thinks, okay, cool, I know this guy's getting the right training. So vet the person you're investing into before. Again, those are his words, not mine. Another thing, if you don't have data in terms of close rate metrics, you've not sold B2B before, what have you done that is hard? What have you done? So investing in yourself, that's something that's difficult. Do you train a combat sport? Did you play sports in college to an elite level? Did you used to play a sport professionally? Because what that shows me about you as a person is that you are someone who has done hardship before. And sales is not easy, so I know when the going gets tough, you'll actually keep going. The tough will get going, as the saying says. So use that if you've got it. Could even be something like a weight loss journey. I lost 100, I didn't lose 100 kg, I lost 20 kg in 7 months, shows that I've done hard shit. Which comes into part 3, your character. Don't just say, oh, I'm hardworking. Everyone says that. Share a specific story or moment. Again, did you compete in high-level sports? Maybe you built something from scratch. Maybe you started your own agency before. What have you done that shows that you are coachable and you have conviction in yourself? Another thing that's going to come into that is your tonality, how you show up on the call, how you show up in the loom. It's super, super important. Bring that through your video. And part 4, homework and a CTA. Reference something specific about their offer. Testimonial you saw, piece of content they put out, result they've talked about publicly, show you've actually done your research, and then ask clearly for the next step. Don't be vague. I'd love to get on a call and learn more about the opportunity and what I can bring to your team. Something direct, something confident. Hey, let me know. I'd love to speak. Hey, let me know what the next steps are. My number is XYZ. Drop me a message. Look forward to hearing from you. Let's make a ton of money together. Something like that. Super simple. If you send enough of these out, hundreds and hundreds, you will land something. One thing that I tell my students all the time when they're just getting in and they're just brand new is it only takes one person to say yes. You only need one person. So you could have sent out 299 Loom applications and got a no on every single one. On your 300th, you get a yes. Remaining 299 were not a waste of time. They were just what you needed to go through to get the yes on the 300th. So that is the entire Loom application do's and don'ts. Go use this. Section 6 is your first 90 days. Now, most people, they get into the space, they don't actually know what the first 90 days are supposed to look like. They have a vague idea of, okay, I need to land a role and make money, but no real understanding of the journey between where they are and where they want to be. This is the typical journey. Land a role, make money, become a Miami guru. So I want to give you a clear picture of what each phase should look like. Again, the first month is skill acquisition. This is the most important month and the one that most people underestimate. This may feel like procrastination, but your only job in the first month is to get the framework down, the reps in, through mock calls with friends or other people in the community that you've invested into, and get yourself in a position where you're ready to apply for roles. So what does this look like in practice? Going through course content properly, not skimming, writing takeaways, actually understanding why the framework works the way it works, not just memorizing the steps, showing up to every coaching call, camera on, questions ready. If you've invested into coaching, show up to every single coaching call, every single one with your camera on, questions ready. You can tell in the first 2 weeks which students are going to make it and which ones aren't. The biggest indicator is who show up and ask questions consistently and consistently wants to get better. Number 3 is mock calls every single day with a friend, with a partner, with someone in the community that you're in. Doesn't matter. You just got to get the reps in, get used to speaking. I remember when I first started, I couldn't speak, I couldn't hold a conversation. And you will make progress so quickly within your first month if you just practice and do it every single day and get your mock calls reviewed by friends, by someone who's a little bit ahead of you. That is going to be a game changer. And then number 4 is start to build your target list and research offers before you're even ready to apply. Now, ready to apply is not really a thing. You're never going to feel ready to apply. But after that first month, you will be ready to apply, provided you have done the previous 3 steps. Month 2, actually applying and landing your first role. You should be actively applying by month 2. You've got the Loom framework, you've built a target list, and you're sending applications and following up relentlessly. So here's what this actually looks like. Applications are going out consistently. Not 1, not 2, hundreds. As many as you possibly can. You got to think, it is your job to get on a roll as fast as you possibly can. So you send personalized Looms to vetted offers every single week. Then you start landing interviews. When they happen, you're ready. You've done the mock calls, you know your framework, you're not going to freeze when they throw an objection at you in a role play. The way to actually find these roles is to use social media. Use YouTube, use Instagram, search up, for example, trading coach, right? Go on their website, see they're actively applying. Do they have a career section on their landing page? If not, DM. How many DMs can you send on a consistent basis? This is where you build your network, speak to other people in this space, join free communities, Facebook groups. If you're not in a mentorship, which honestly is the biggest thing that's going to get you on an offer as fast as you possibly can, it's going to take a little bit more time. You're going to have to build connections slowly. You're going to have to send out a hell of a lot more offers or Looms. And by the end of month 2 is to be on a roll. 2 of my first students, Luke and Callum, both landed a role on a fitness offer as a closer who both came from setting experiences because they use this framework and relentlessly apply it. One thing that I want to be super honest about here is you may get placed or land a role on a seemingly good offer and then it dies. The offer tanks, the marketing goes quiet, the volume disappears. Happened to me 3 or 4 times before I actually landed the role that enabled me to make 5 figures a month consistently. You can't treat that as failure, it's just information. You've got to dust yourself off, you go again, you get back on the horse, back to the board, apply again. The skill you built doesn't go anywhere when an offer dies. It continues to compound. Month 3 is refinement and scaling. Once you're in a role and calls are hitting your calendar, that's when the work actually starts. It's about refining, getting your close rate up, understanding the specific ICP, building your knowledge around the offer, learning about whatever offer you're on, getting your calls reviewed and plugging in the gaps. And what I'm looking for when I review calls at this stage is the discovery actually deep enough? Are they getting clear, specific answers to all 5 steps of the framework, or are they just skating the surface? Is the gap built properly? Does the prospect feel the distance between where they're at and where they want to go? Or is the call staying kind of emotionally flat? Are they getting annoyed, the prospect, on the call? How are objections being handled? Are they being addressed from a place of genuine curiosity and helpness? Or is it feeling like a fight? Are you combative? How is your tonality, your confidence, your conviction? Is this closer someone I would feel comfortable sending my own leads to? If the answer is yes, continue to progress. This is where on your offer you should be getting calls reviewed consistently by the sales manager or by your coach or whoever you've invested into. The students who compound the fastest at this stage are the ones who treat every single call as a learning opportunity, regardless of the outcome. They're recording, reviewing, asking for feedback, implementing, going again. Be annoying, right? This is a key principle. Be annoying. Be the guy who wants to get better. Ask for call reviews consistently. Be the guy who wants to improve. That will turn you from a 5K a month closer into a 10K a month into a 20K a month closer. Very, very quick. Okay, section 7, objection handling. The issue with objection handling is people will give you word tracks and scripts. When they say this, heavy is the head that wears the crown, have you ever thought of this, can I share a perspective, blah, 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 prospects, problems, blah. Problem is, the scripts don't work in real conversations because every single prospect is different. So I'm going to give you a framework behind how I approach the most common objections, and then you can take that and make it your own. Now, the money objection. First thing to understand about money is it's not usually a money objection. It's either money fear or money logistics. So are they scared of investing the money? 9 times out of 10, that is the case. Or are they genuinely broke and they need to figure out a way to make it happen? So your job is to figure out which one is the case. Money fear would sound like, oh, I have the money, but obviously they have the money, but something's getting in the way. I feel like I could make this work, but any sentence with but is fear, right? It's a lot of money, but again, compared to what? 5K is a lot to someone making 2K a month, but if you were making 20K a month, how much would 5K of an investment be then? Doesn't add up. So you've got to challenge it. Logistics sounds like, oh, I just need to move money. Oh, I get paid on X date, and then I can do that. So money aside, are you like 100% in? Yeah, no, I 100% want to do this. It's just this financial issue. Awesome. I'll go for a down payment or a deposit. Okay, cool. We can get you set up. Like, what do you have access to right now? I've got $500. Cool. We can get you set up for 500. That way, you know, when your head hits the pillow tonight, we've taken the steps, we've taken the action. Can even get you access to some of the course content. If you can do that, that's the best thing possible. So they still feel like they're getting something from the decision or from the purchase that they've made. And then we can process the rest on Friday. Sound good? If they say no, then it's fear. There's something coming up there. When they bring up fear, we want to understand, and a really, really useful question that you can ask is, back to the cost of an action, right? If we continue to let this fear hold us back and stop us from taking the steps that we know we need to take, where are we going to be in 6 months' time, a year's time? How much money would we have left on the table? If they want to make 10K a month, it's going to be 60 grand, right? So compare that initial 5K investment to 60K. Does it make sense? Let them answer. Sit in silence. So the real cost isn't actually the investment, it's staying where you are, right? Because there's opportunity cost that comes into play as well. And then I need to think about it. No, now, think about it objection is not a real objection. It's a smokescreen, right? It shows you that they're not convinced, they're scared, or they feel like they need more information. We need to find out which one that is. So be like, yeah, totally makes sense, right? I want to make sure you have everything to make the right decision. What we would do here is get the buy-in. Do you feel like, based off of everything that we've actually gone through today, that you feel like this can help you get to XYZ goal? Yes. Okay, why? Why do you feel like that specifically? Okay, XYZ. Okay, awesome. So what is specifically coming up for you that has you wanting to put time and distance between making this decision? Ask the question, let them answer, and then address whatever they actually say. The objection will move from think about it to money, logistics, fear, I need to speak to my wife, whatever that may be, and we've got rid of the think about it objection. Super simple. The partner objection. Now, partner can be real, right? I'm not going to sit there and say it's not. If someone is using their partner's money, then it is a real partner objection because they cannot physically invest without speaking to someone. However, a lot of the time it is going to be them pushing responsibility onto their partner because that's what makes them feel comfortable. Again, we want to take the same approach. We want to get the buy-in. Do you actually feel like this can help? Yes. If so, why? Okay, XYZ reason. Okay, cool. So in your mind, why do you feel like your partner would be against this? Right? You can even go after that. What do you feel their objection would be? What do you feel their hesitation would be? Oh, it might be around the money. Oh, interesting. So the objection is now just moved from partner to money, right? And we can dig into that and get behind that. Thing is, if their own conviction is there and they have the finances to make it work and we get clarity on that, they don't need to speak to their partner. They're looking to pass responsibility to their partner because it's the most comfortable thing to do. The way we can handle that is, what's your wife's name? Oh, it's Judy. Okay, awesome. Now, what does Judy do for work? Oh, she's a nurse. Okay, has she ever got to 10K a month trading? Well, no. Okay, so in your mind, John, in what way would it make sense to pass the responsibility of making a decision that your wife doesn't have the tools or the understanding to make? Now, with all due respect to her, I want to make sure she's informed and she fully trusts you. But at the end of the day, whose responsibility is it to get your family to XYZ goal? Oh, it's mine. Okay. Does it actually make sense to put that responsibility onto her when you know that it's going to be you showing up, putting the blood, the sweat, the tears, day in, day out? No. Okay. And the version of you, the version of John who's at 10K a month, does he put this decision of getting his family to where he wants to be onto his wife, or what does he do? Or does he do it? Okay. So what do you need to do? Well, I need to do it. Okay, cool. Let's do it. Easy. Timing. Now, the timing objection is bullshit. It's external because we all have the same 24 hours in a day, right? Oh, now's not the right time. Well, it's never going to be a right time, right? When's the most intelligent time for you to actually step in and become the version of yourself? Well, it was 10 years ago. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now, right? Everyone understands that. So timing is just dressed up as fear. The way we can handle that, again, going back in, if you didn't get this in the discovery, is to ask, well, do you feel like there was someone who has actually found the time? Now, the timing objection isn't real because there's never been a right time. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Second best time is today, right? Now, the way that I like to handle timing, if we don't get it in the front half of the call, and this shouldn't come up because we've built enough urgency in the conversation, is to get them to realize that it's not a case that they don't have the time. It's a case of finding the time and bringing it back to a priority. How important is it for you to get to XYZ goal? Okay, well, are you able to actually find the time? How many hours a day do you have in your day, John? Like, what? I have 24. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure you didn't have like 16 hour days or something. Right, make a shit joke. Use humor. Super important. Again, do you believe there's someone who's actually made it work? Who's had the same amount of responsibilities, work, life, stress, everything? Well, yeah, no, there is. Okay. So it's not a case of not having the time, it's a case of finding the time. Would you agree? Yeah, I guess. Okay. So in your opinion, like, is this actually worth finding the time so you can get to XYZ goal? We want to attach all the objections to their dream outcome. Okay, that is everything. That is the full system. Now this is a 1 hour long YouTube video. I have a lot more source that I can give to you, and we'll obviously keep that for my paid program, right? I'm not going to be able to give everything to you for free in a YouTube video. This would be 30 hours long. If you want a 30-hour long video, pay me. I'm just joking. But if you genuinely use that, if you use the mindset section, the framework, the offer vetting, the Loom application, and what the first 90 days actually look like, how to handle objections, you can take everything and actually go do this for yourself. You can land your first role, right? Everything you need to understand is in this video. But again, I'll be honest with you, the people who try and do this alone will give up 90% of the time. It's a completely different thing to be in a live call, 3 objections deep, and have to navigate in real time without having someone in your corner who's actually done it, without having a community of people who know what they're doing and can help you through the lows, right? Look, the offer section will help, but if you don't know how to vet properly, you end up in the wrong seat. The Loom framework works, but if no one's reviewed your first few, told you what to fix, you potentially leaving a lot of interviews on the table. Now that is what a new standard is. It's me and Kurt, my business owner, who have between us closed well over $10 million in the space working with you directly. 24/7 DM access to me personally, multiple coaching calls every single week with myself and Kurt, call reviews, quick Q&As, role plays, whatever you need help with specifically, a daily updated vetted offer board so you're not guessing which roles are actually worth your time, and full call reviews once you're actually in a role so you're compounding and getting better faster than you ever could. Not to mention actual live access to mine and Kurt's sales calls. You can watch us close in real time. So it's not theory, it's not bullshit. You can see that there are hours and hours of calls that you can go through. Again, Adam made 9K in his first month. Daniel made 10K. Toller had his first 1K day 6 weeks in after starting from zero. One of my guys, Lucas, used the Loom framework that we just went through, sent 30 Loom applications and landed 9 interviews. He now has an abundance of offers that he can go look through. If you want coaching, if you want the community, if you want the offer board and someone actually holding you accountable to your best standard, to the accountable version, the 2.0 version of yourself, hit the link in the description. Go check it out. If it makes sense for you, where you're at, go apply. If it doesn't, everything in this video is yours. Go run with it, and I'll see you in the next one.